The engagement ring sat in its velvet box like a gilded prison cell. Sophia Ashford stared at the 3-carat diamond her mother had selected without consulting her, perfectly sized for a hand she'd never been asked to offer. "The Whitmores are expecting your answer by Friday," her mother announced, adjusting the ring's position on the marble countertop as if the angle might somehow make Sophia more compliant. Marcus Whitmore was 53, newly divorced, and owned half the commercial properties in downtown Baltimore. He'd shaken Sophia's hand exactly twice, once at a charity gala, once at her mother's carefully orchestrated coincidental dinner party, before deciding she would be his third wife. Most women would have screamed, negotiated, or fled. Sophia had a different plan. She was going to marry a complete stranger specifically to destroy her value in her mother's marriage market forever. Before we explore how a desperate act of rebellion revealed a fortune neither of them wanted, tell us in the comments. Would you sacrifice everything to escape someone else's plans for your life? Sophia Ashford stands in the penthouse conference room of Ashford Properties, 47 floors above Baltimore's Inner Harbor. Below, the city sprawls in neat grids of power and money. Her family owns 17% of it. The view means nothing to her anymore. "Sophia, are you listening?" Her mother's voice cuts through like expensive crystal shattering. Victoria Ashford sits at the head of the table, perfectly composed in Chanel, her silver hair styled with architectural precision. "I'm listening, Mother." "Then you understand the timeline. The Whitmores are hosting their annual summer gala in 3 weeks. You'll attend as Marcus's fiancée. The announcement will appear in the Baltimore Sun, the Washington Post, and Town and Country. I haven't agreed to marry him." Victoria's smile doesn't waver. "Of course you have, darling. Marcus has already informed his attorneys. The prenuptial agreement is being drafted." Sophia's hands remain steady on the portfolio in front of her. She's learned not to show reaction. Victoria interprets emotion as manipulation opportunity. "I'm 26, Sophia says quietly. "I'm not interested in becoming Mrs. Marcus Whitmore." "You're 26 and still living on family money while pretending your little architecture degree qualifies as a career." Victoria's tone remains pleasant, which makes it more cutting. "Marcus provides structure, stability, the kind of alliance this family needs." "The kind you need," Sophia corrects. Victoria sets down her pen with deliberate precision. "Marcus's development company has political connections we've been cultivating for 5 years. His ex-wife's settlement was messy. He needs rehabilitation in the social pages, and you need purpose. It's symbiotic. I'm not interested in being his PR campaign." "Then what are you interested in? Designing theoretical buildings that will never be constructed? Attending gallery openings with your progressive friends who think family money is shameful until they need investor capital?" The accusation lands because it's partially true. Sophia graduated summa cum laude from Cornell with a degree in architecture. She spent 3 years at a small firm in Fells Point, designing innovative housing projects that developers dismiss as impractical. Meanwhile, she lives in the Ashford penthouse apartment her mother provided, drives the Mercedes her mother leased, and attends functions where she's introduced as Victoria's daughter rather than by name. "I'm interested in making my own choices," Sophia says. "Then choose wisely," Victoria replies. "Marcus is offering security. The alternative is learning to support yourself on a junior architect's salary. I assume you've reviewed the rental market? A 1-bedroom in a decent neighborhood runs about $2,000 a month. Your car payment is $650. Then there's health insurance, which you're currently enjoying through the family plan. The thread is clear. Marry Marcus or lose everything." "I need time to think," Sophia says. "You have until Friday." Victoria stands, smoothing her skirt. The ring is sized. The venue is reserved. The guest list is being finalized. All you need to do is say yes. After her mother leaves, Sophia remains in the conference room. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Baltimore stretches toward the Chesapeake Bay. Somewhere out there are people who make their own choices, who aren't auctioned off to business partners disguised as suitors. She picks up the engagement ring. 3 carats, emerald cut, platinum band. Flawless clarity. Perfect proportions. Absolutely lifeless. The ring belongs to someone who would accept being a placeholder in Marcus Whitmore's third marriage. Someone who would smile through charity galas while he reminisced about his previous wives. Someone who would produce heirs and maintain appearances and eventually become another settlement negotiation in his next divorce. Sophia isn't that person. She will never be that person, which means she needs to become someone else entirely. That evening, Sophia sits in her apartment, technically her mother's apartment, leased under Ashford Properties LLC, and researches exactly how one ruins themselves socially. The internet provides surprisingly thorough guidance. Option 1. Public scandal. Arrest, inappropriate behavior, social media meltdown. Too risky. Her mother would spin it as a nervous breakdown requiring management rather than evidence of fundamental unsuitability. Option 2. Financial independence. Get a job that pays enough to survive without family money. Unfortunately, her architecture salary barely covers coffee expenses in downtown Baltimore, let alone rent, insurance, and the lifestyle Victoria expects. Option 3. Marry someone completely unacceptable. The idea surfaces slowly, absurd at first, then increasingly logical. If she married someone poor, someone without connections, someone Victoria couldn't spin or integrate into family business, she'd be unsalvageable. No amount of PR could reframe Sophia Ashford throwing away her value on a nobody. Her mother would cut her off completely, which is exactly the freedom she needs. Sophia searches quickest legal marriage Maryland. The results are surprisingly straightforward. No blood test required. No waiting period. Just 2 people, identification, $65 fee, and a licensed officiant. She could be married by the end of the week. The plan crystallizes with terrifying clarity. Find someone who needs money. Someone willing to enter a legal but unconsummated marriage. Offer compensation. Not much. She doesn't have much, but enough for someone desperate. Get married publicly enough that her mother discovers it. Get cut off from family money. Finally escape the suffocating expectations. It's insane. It's reckless. It's possibly the only way out. Sophia spends 3 hours that night refining the details. She'll need someone with no connection to Baltimore society. Someone who won't try to leverage the marriage into Ashford money. Someone kind enough not to make her life miserable, but desperate enough to agree. She thinks about where someone desperate might be. Homeless shelters? Too vulnerable. Bars? Too unpredictable. Day labor sites? Possibly. Then she remembers. Her firm is renovating a community center in Hampton. There's a construction crew. Men who work with their hands, who need steady income, who won't ask questions if the price is right. By midnight, Sophia has a plan that will either save her or destroy her. She suspects it might do both. Thursday morning, Sophia drives to the Hampton Community Center project her firm is managing. She's been to the site twice before for client meetings, but this time she's not dressed like an architect reviewing structural drawings. She wears jeans, a plain t-shirt, her hair pulled back. She looks like someone who might belong on a construction site, not someone raised in Baltimore penthouses. The site foreman, a weathered man named Tommy, recognizes her anyway. "Miss Ashford, you checking on the south wall revision?" "Actually, I need to speak with one of your crew." "Privately." Tommy's eyebrows raise. "Which one?" Sophia realizes she hasn't thought this through. She doesn't know their names, their situations, whether any of them would even consider what she's proposing. "Someone reliable," she says. "Someone who might need extra work. Cash work." Tommy studies her for a long moment. Then understanding dawns, the wrong kind. "Miss, if you're looking for that kind of arrangement." "Not that," Sophia interrupts quickly. "Nothing inappropriate. I need someone for a legitimate job. Just unusual circumstances." Tommy remains skeptical. "How unusual?" "Very. But legal. And well compensated." He considers this. "There's a guy named Hayes. Does finish work. keeps to himself. Reliable. Could probably use the money. He's living in a trailer out past Parkville. Can I speak with him? On your own head, Tommy mutters, leading her through the construction site. They find Daniel Hayes on the second floor, measuring window frames with methodical precision. He looks about 30, with dark hair, several days of stubble, and the kind of lean build that comes from physical labor rather than gyms. His clothes are worn but clean, his hands scarred and capable. Hayes, someone here to see you, Tommy announces, then retreats quickly, leaving Sophia alone with a man she's about to proposition in the least conventional way possible. Daniel Hayes looks up. His eyes are startling, pale green, cautious, the kind of eyes that have learned to assess situations before reacting. Help you. His voice is rough, careful. Sophia realizes how insane this is going to sound. She decides directness is the only approach. I have a proposition. It's unusual, but it's legitimate and legal. If you're interested, I'll explain. If not, I apologize for wasting your time. Daniel sets down his measuring tape. I'm listening. I need to get married. Quickly. To someone my family will never accept. It's a legal marriage, documented and binding, but purely practical. In exchange, I can offer $5,000 and cover all expenses. The silence stretches long enough that Sophia thinks he'll call security. Then Daniel says, why? Not, why me? Which she expected. Just why? I'm being forced into a marriage I don't want, Sophia explains. My mother has arranged everything. If I refuse, she'll make my life impossible. If I marry someone she finds unacceptable, she'll cut me off completely. Which is exactly what I need. And you think marrying a construction worker qualifies as unacceptable? I think marrying someone she hasn't vetted, someone without society connections, someone she can't control, yes, that qualifies. Daniel leans against the window frame, studying her. What happens after? We maintain the marriage for at least 6 months, long enough that it can't be easily annulled. After that, we divorce amicably. You keep the money, we part ways, and I'm finally free from my mother's expectations. $5,000? Yes. Half up front, half after 6 months. Where would we live? I assume you have housing? I'll pay my share of rent, utilities, whatever's needed. Daniel laughs, but there's no humor in it. I live in a 30-foot trailer with a leaking roof. It's one step above condemned. You sure you want to trade a penthouse for that? I'm trading a cage for freedom, Sophia says. The accommodations are irrelevant. Daniel studies her for a long moment. Then he says something that surprises her. I won't hit you. I won't steal from you. I won't make your life hell just because I can. But I've got my own demons, and I'm not interested in explaining them. We do this. We keep our distance. We mind our own business. Deal. It's the most honest negotiation Sophia's ever heard. Deal. They shake hands. His grip is rough with calluses, warm, surprisingly steady. When, he asks. Tomorrow. If you're available. I'm available. They exchange phone numbers. Sophia provides the courthouse address, the documentation requirements, the timeline. Daniel nods, taking it all in with the quiet competence of someone who's made stranger decisions before. As Sophia turns to leave, he calls after her. Miss Ashford. She looks back. Why me? Specifically, Sophia considers lying, crafting something flattering or logical. Instead, she tells the truth. Because you didn't laugh. You didn't call me crazy. You just asked why? That's rare. Daniel nods slowly. Tomorrow, then. Tomorrow. Sophia walks back to her car, her heart hammering. She's just proposed marriage to a complete stranger. A man who lives in a trailer. A man who carries demons he won't explain. A man who, in less than 24 hours, will be her husband. The absurdity of it should terrify her. Instead, she feels something she hasn't felt in months. Hope. Friday morning arrives cold and gray. Sophia wears a simple blue dress, nothing bridal, nothing that suggests celebration. This is a transaction, not a romance. She meets Daniel outside the Baltimore City Circuit Court. He's cleaned up, pressed khaki pants, button-down shirt, hair combed back. He looks uncomfortable but presentable. Ready? She asks. As I'll ever be. The process is surprisingly mundane. Forms, identification, $65 fee split between them. The clerk processes everything with bored efficiency, having seen dozens of couples that morning alone. Do you have witnesses? Sophia hadn't thought of that. No. The clerk sighs. Need 2 witnesses. You can grab random people from the hallway if you want. They recruit an elderly woman waiting for traffic court and a young man filling out small claims paperwork. Neither asks questions. Both sign where indicated. The officiant is a tired-looking woman who's clearly done this hundreds of times. Do you, Sophia Marie Ashford, take Daniel Thomas Hayes to be your lawfully wedded husband? The words sound surreal. Sophia thinks of Marcus Whitmore, of her mother's carefully orchestrated plans, of the life she's about to burn down completely. I do. Do you, Daniel Thomas Hayes, take Sophia Marie Ashford to be your lawfully wedded wife? Daniel's voice is steady. I do. By the power vested in me by the state of Maryland, I now pronounce you married. You may kiss if you wish. They don't kiss. They shake hands again, a formal acknowledgement of their agreement. The marriage certificate is printed, signed, sealed, legal and binding. Sophia Ashford is now Sophia Hayes. Outside the courthouse, rain has started. They stand under the overhang, suddenly married strangers unsure what happens next. I should probably give you the first payment, Sophia says, pulling out an envelope. $2,500. Cash. Daniel takes it carefully. Thank you. And I'll need your address. For the mail forwarding, in case anyone checks. He writes it on a piece of paper torn from a courthouse pamphlet. An address in Parkville, east of the city, in an area Sophia's never had reason to visit. I'm working until 5 today, Daniel says. After that, I guess, you can come by? See the place before you commit to actually living there. I'm already committed, Sophia reminds him. We're married. Yeah. He looks at the marriage certificate in his hand, still processing. We are. They part with awkward waves. Sophia drives back to her apartment, married, legally bound to a man she's known for less than 48 hours. She has 3 hours before her mother expects her at dinner, where Victoria will demand answers about Marcus Whitmore's proposal. Sophia calls the Baltimore Sun directly. I'd like to place an announcement in the wedding section. The announcement runs in Sunday's paper. Simple, factual, impossible to miss. Sophia Marie Ashford, daughter of Victoria and the late Robert Ashford, married Daniel Thomas Hayes on Friday, November 10th, in a private ceremony at Baltimore City Circuit Court. No embellishments, no registry, no mention of Ashford properties or society connections, just the bare minimum required to detonate her mother's life. Victoria calls at 7:42 a.m. What have you done? Sophia stands in her apartment, soon to be her former apartment, and feels remarkably calm. I got married. To whom? Victoria's voice could freeze steel. Who is Daniel Hayes? A construction worker. We met on a job site. The silence is volcanic. Then, you're lying. This is a performance to avoid Marcus. You'll have it annulled immediately. It's legal and consummated, Sophia lies smoothly. There's no annulment. I'm married. Then you're insane. Or you've decided to destroy this family deliberately. I've decided to stop being auctioned off like real estate, Sophia corrects. Daniel is a good man. We're very happy. Where is he from? What does his family do? Does he have any idea what he's married into? He's from Maryland. His family's situation is private. And yes, he knows exactly what he's married into. A daughter who refused to be a business transaction. Victoria's fury crystallizes into cold precision. You have until Monday to rectify this. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to cut you off completely. No family money. No apartment. No access to Ashford accounts or properties. You'll be on your own. That's the idea, Mother. Fine. Victoria's voice is ice. Enjoy poverty, Sophia. I hope your construction worker can afford the life you're accustomed to. The call ends. Sophia sits in the sudden silence, realizing she's just burned every bridge. She's free. Terrifyingly, completely free. She starts packing. By Monday morning, Sophia has moved her essential belongings into Daniel's trailer. It's exactly as advertised. 30 feet of cramped living space with a leaking roof, minimal insulation, and plumbing that protests every use. Daniel watches her arrive with 3 suitcases and an expression of calm acceptance. You really did it. We really did it, Sophia corrects. They establish ground rules quickly. Daniel takes the bedroom, barely larger than the bed itself. Sophia gets the convertible couch in the living area. They'll split food costs, respect each other's privacy, maintain the appearance of marriage in public while keeping distance in private. It's clinical, practical, and exactly what they both need. The first week is awkward but manageable. Daniel leaves before dawn for construction jobs. Sophia job hunts from a laptop balanced on the tiny kitchen counter. They eat separate dinners, speak politely, occupy the same space like respectful strangers. Then the nightmares start. Daniel wakes gasping on the 4th night, loud enough that Sophia hears through the thin walls. She doesn't mention it the next morning, but she notices his exhaustion, the careful way he moves, the haunted look that lingers until he's fully awake. On the 8th night, she makes tea when she hears him wake. Knocks softly on the bedroom door. I have chamomile, if you want. A long pause. Then, yeah, thanks. They sit at the cramped table, both in sleep clothes, both careful not to acknowledge vulnerability. Bad dreams? Sophia asks quietly. Sometimes. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. Okay. They sit in comfortable silence until Daniel finally says, I was military. Did 2 tours overseas. Came back. Different. The dreams are just part of it. I'm sorry, Sophia says and means it. Not your problem. Daniel drinks his tea. You've got your own situation. Speaking of which, Sophia mentions, I got a call from my mother's attorney today. They're contesting the marriage, claiming I was coerced or not of sound mind. Daniel's expression hardens. Were you? Desperate, yes. Coerced, no. Sound mind, debatable. She smiles slightly. But the marriage is legal. They can't undo it easily. What happens if they succeed? Then I go back to being Victoria's property, and you get to keep the $2,500 regardless. I don't want your mother's money if you end up trapped, Daniel says quietly. It's the most principled thing anyone's said to her in years. Then we make sure she doesn't win, Sophia says. They shake on it. Partners in rebellion. The tea becomes a routine. When Daniel's nightmares wake him, Sophia makes chamomile. They sit in the darkness, 2 people hiding from different wars, finding unexpected comfort in shared insomnia. Sophia learns he's 32. No family he talks to. Did 8 years in the army, got out 4 years ago. Works construction because it's straightforward. No one expects conversation, just competence. Daniel learns she studied architecture, loves designing homes people can actually afford, hates charity galas. That her father died when she was 19, and her mother became obsessed with controlling everything after. You said your father was late. Daniel mentions one night. What happened? Heart attack. He was only 53. Sophia's voice tightens. He'd been working too hard, drinking too much, under constant pressure from my mother to expand the business. One day he just collapsed. They tried to revive him, but it was too late. I'm sorry. Me too. He was the only one who ever asked what I wanted. She looks at Daniel. What about you? You said no family you talked to. Parents died in a car accident when I was 21. Before that, we weren't close. Old money families rarely are. Sophia blinks. Old money. Daniel realizes his mistake. Doesn't matter. Past life. But the comment lodges in Sophia's mind. Construction workers don't usually reference old money families casually. She doesn't push. They have an agreement. Privacy, distance, mutual respect. Still, she wonders. 3 weeks into their arrangement, a courier arrives with a certified letter. Daniel's face goes pale when he sees the return address. Morrison and Associates, attorneys at law. He signs for it without opening it. Everything okay? Sophia asks. Fine. But it's not fine. Daniel becomes withdrawn, tense. He works longer hours, comes home exhausted, avoids conversation. The nightmares worsen. On the 5th night after the letter's arrival, Sophia awakes to crashing sounds. She finds Daniel in the kitchen, breathing hard, surrounded by broken glass from a cup he'd knocked over. Hey, she says softly. You're here. You're safe. Daniel focuses on her slowly, his eyes clearing. Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just breathe. She helps him clean up the glass, makes tea, waits until his hands stop shaking. The letter, he finally says. It's from my family's attorneys. They found me. Found you. Daniel laughs bitterly. I've been avoiding them for 4 years. Thought I'd managed permanent escape. Why are you avoiding attorneys? He looks at her for a long moment, then makes a decision. My full name is Daniel Thomas Hayes Morrison. My parents were Robert and Eleanor Morrison. Morrison Estate. You've probably heard of it. Sophia's blood goes cold. Morrison Estate is legendary in Maryland, one of the oldest, wealthiest families in the state. They own vast tracts of land from Annapolis to the Eastern Shore. Historic properties, waterfront estates, political connections spanning generations. You're a Morrison, she says faintly. Was a Morrison. I left. Why? Daniel stares at his tea. My parents died 4 years ago. Car accident on Route 50, coming back from Easton. Black ice, another driver crossed the median. They died instantly. I'm sorry, Sophia whispers. I was the only child. Everything went to me, the estate, the properties, the trusts, the legacy. Suddenly, I wasn't just Daniel Hayes from the army. I was Daniel Morrison, heir to a fortune I'd never wanted, responsible for preserving a family name I'd spent years escaping. What did you do? I ran. Left the lawyers to manage everything in my absence. Changed my name back to Hayes, my mother's maiden name. Found construction work. Tried to disappear. He looks at her. Then you showed up, offering exactly what I needed, a legitimate reason to stay hidden. The revelation reframes everything. The careful privacy, the deflection, the trailer that never quite matched his educated speech patterns. So you're wealthy, Sophia says slowly. Technically, if I claim the inheritance. Which you don't want. Which I can't handle. Daniel's voice cracks. The Morrison estate isn't just money, Sophia. It's responsibility. Historic properties that need maintenance. Tenants who depend on stable management. A legacy that expects preservation. After my parents died, everyone expected me to step into their shoes. Be the responsible heir. Maintain tradition. But you couldn't. I could barely function. The nightmares were worse then. I was drinking too much, sleeping too little. The lawyers kept sending documents requiring decisions about properties I'd never visited, tenants I'd never met, trust funds for cousins who treated me like an ATM. He meets her eyes. So I walked away. Let the lawyers hire property managers, maintain the minimum, keep everything frozen. And I built frames and measured windows and tried to forget I'd ever been anyone else. Sophia processes this. But now they've found you. Now they've found me. And they're demanding I attend a meeting. Make decisions. Sign documents. Be Daniel Morrison again. What happens if you refuse? Eventually, the courts will force the issue. You can't indefinitely avoid inheriting. But I've bought 4 years so far. Sophia sits back. So we're both hiding from family legacies. Looks that way. And we accidentally married each other while trying to escape. Daniel laughs. Real laughter for the first time since she's known him. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. What are you going to do about the letter? I don't know. Daniel looks exhausted. What I've always done. Ignore it. Hope it goes away. Does it usually work? For a while. They sit in silence. Two people running from dynastic expectations, accidentally bound together by the very institutions they sought to escape. Daniel, Sophia says carefully, what if we face them together? He looks up sharply. What? You need someone to face the Morrison lawyers with. I need to prove to my mother I've permanently ruined myself. What if we attended this meeting as a united front? You're married now. That changes things legally, right? Probably. But Sophia, this isn't your problem. It became my problem when we signed that marriage certificate. We're partners in this mess. Let's act like it. Daniel studies her for a long moment. Then he nods slowly. Together, then. Together. They shake hands again. The same formal acknowledgement that started this unlikely arrangement. Except this time, it feels less like a transaction. It feels like an alliance. The law offices of Morrison and Associates occupy a historic building in downtown Annapolis, all oak paneling and maritime portraits. Sophia and Daniel arrive together, her hand resting lightly on his arm in a performance of marital unity. The receptionist's eyes widen at Daniel's appearance. "Mr. Morrison, we've been trying to reach you." "I'm here now," Daniel says evenly. "This is my wife, Sophia." The receptionist's confusion deepens. "Your wife?" "Yes. She'll be sitting in on the meeting." They're ushered into a conference room where 3 attorneys wait. An elderly man who rises immediately, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, and a younger man taking notes. Daniel, the elderly attorney, Harrison Morrison, Daniel's great-uncle, says warmly, "It's been too long." "Uncle Harry," Daniel acknowledges. He doesn't return the embrace offered. Harrison's gaze shifts to Sophia. "And who is this?" "My wife, Sophia Morrison." The name feels strange in Daniel's mouth, but he says it firmly. Harrison's expression shifts through several emotions: surprise, confusion, calculation. "I wasn't aware you'd married." "Recently," Sophia supplies. 3 weeks ago." The female attorney, Patricia Chun, leans forward. "Mr. Morrison, we've been attempting to contact you regarding urgent estate matters. Several properties require immediate decisions, tenant agreements need renewal, and trust distributions are overdue." "I've been unavailable," Daniel says. "Deliberately so," Patricia observes. "But avoidance isn't a viable long-term strategy. The Morrison estate requires active management, which is why I hired you. We're property managers, not heirs. There are decisions only you can make." Harrison interjects gently. "Daniel, I understand this has been difficult. Losing your parents so suddenly, inheriting so young, it's overwhelming. But the estate is your responsibility, your legacy." "I don't want it," Daniel says flatly. "That's not an option. The Morrison estate has been in family hands for 6 generations. Properties dating to colonial times. Tenants whose families have worked our land for decades. You can't simply abandon it." "Watch me." Sophia feels Daniel's tension, sees the tight control he's maintaining. She squeezes his hand gently. "Perhaps," she says diplomatically, "there's a middle ground. What specific decisions require immediate attention?" Patricia pulls out a thick folder. "The Harrington Farm property, 300 acres near Easton. The tenant's lease expires next month. He's requesting renewal, but also proposing purchase." "So sell it to him," Daniel says. Harrison looks pained. "The Harrington Farm has been Morrison property since 1847. Your great-great-grandfather purchased it. Your grandfather farmed it before consolidating operations. It has historical significance. It has sentimental value to people who are dead," Daniel corrects. "The tenant wants to buy it. Sell it to him at fair market value." "There are also decisions regarding the Morrison house itself," Patricia continues. "The main residence requires significant repairs. The roof needs replacement, estimated at $200,000. The HVAC system is failing. The grounds maintenance contracts need renewal." Daniel's jaw tightens. "Then sell that too." "You can't sell Morrison House," Harrison says, aghast. "It's your ancestral home." "It's a mausoleum I never lived in," Daniel snaps. "My parents spent more time maintaining appearances than living. I'm not preserving a museum to their dysfunction." "Daniel." "No." He stands abruptly. "This is why I left. Everything is legacy, tradition, responsibility. No one ever asks what I want. What I need. It's always what the Morrison name demands. He looks at his uncle. You want someone to preserve the estate? You do it. Take over as trustee. Make the decisions. I'll sign whatever authority transfer is necessary. That's not how inheritance works. Patricia says carefully. The estate is legally yours. You can delegate management, but ultimate responsibility remains with you. Then I'll sell everything. Liquidate the entire estate. Distribute proceeds to the tenants and be done with it. The silence is absolute. Harrison finally speaks, his voice heavy. Is that truly what you want? To end 6 generations of family legacy? Daniel looks at Sophia, then back at his uncle. What I want is to stop being defined by what dead people built. I want to live my own life. Sophia stands, taking Daniel's hand. Perhaps we need time to consider all options. This is clearly complex, and rushing decisions helps no one. Patricia nods reluctantly. Agreed. But Mr. Morrison, you can't avoid this indefinitely. If you don't make decisions, eventually the courts will appoint someone to make them for you. How long do we have? Sophia asks. The Harrington Farm decision is needed within 30 days. The Morrison house repairs are urgent, but can wait a few months. Other matters are less pressing. Then we'll provide answers within 30 days, Sophia says firmly. Outside, Daniel leans against their car, breathing hard. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize. But Daniel, you can't keep running. Eventually, you have to decide what you want this legacy to be. I want it to disappear. Do you? Or do you just want it to stop controlling you? Daniel looks at her sharply. What's the difference? One ends everything. The other transforms it into something you can live with. They drive back to the trailer in silence. But that night, when Daniel's nightmares wake him, Sophia is already making tea. Tell me about Morrison House, she says softly. Not the museum. The home. And for the first time, Daniel starts talking about his childhood, not the legacy, but the life. Over the next 2 weeks, something shifts between Sophia and Daniel. They're no longer strangers performing an arrangement. They're partners navigating impossible family legacies together. Sophia accompanies Daniel to the Morrison estate. It's beautiful, rolling hills overlooking the Chesapeake, the main house a testament to federal architecture, the grounds meticulously maintained despite Daniel's absence. It's stunning, Sophia admits. It's a prison, Daniel counters. But his eyes linger on the oak trees his grandfather planted, the barn where he learned to ride, the dock where he spent summers fishing. It doesn't have to be, Sophia says quietly. What if you kept what matters and released what doesn't? What do you mean? Sell the properties that feel like burden. Keep Morrison House, but transform it into something meaningful. Your architectural degree, what if this became the project? Daniel stares at her. You're suggesting I renovate my ancestral home. I'm suggesting you stop seeing it as your parents' legacy and start seeing it as your opportunity. She walks toward the house. This place could be incredible. Modernized sustainably. Opened seasonally for community events. Or kept private, but designed for actual living rather than museum preservation. You've thought about this. I'm an architect. I think about space and purpose. She looks at him. You have resources most people never access. You could do something meaningful with them. Or you can sell everything and spend your life wondering what might have been. Daniel walks through Morrison House slowly, seeing it differently. Not as his parents' shrine, but as potential. What about you, he asks. Your mother's still threatening legal action. Let her. Sophia shrugs. I've started working at a nonprofit housing organization. The pay is terrible, but the work matters. I'm learning to live on my own terms. In a leaking trailer. In freedom, she corrects. Which is worth more than any penthouse. They stand in the Morrison House library, surrounded by 6 generations of accumulated wealth and expectation. If I kept this place, Daniel says slowly, would you help me redesign it? Sophia turns to him. Professionally or as your fake wife? Maybe both. Daniel's expression is vulnerable. This arrangement was supposed to be temporary. 6 months, then divorce. But Sophia, these past weeks. I've felt less alone than I have in years. Me too. So what if we made this real? Not the marriage necessarily, but the partnership. We're both good at hiding from family expectations alone. Maybe together we'd be good at building something new. Sophia considers this. What exactly are you proposing? I don't know yet. But I know I don't want this to end in 6 months. And I know I trust you more than anyone I've met since leaving the army. That's not a high bar, Sophia points out. No, Daniel agrees. But it's honest. They shake hands again, their familiar gesture, now weighted with new meaning. Partners, then, Sophia says, in rebuilding both our lives. Partners. But this time, when their hands meet, neither pulls away quickly. The Morrison estate transformation takes longer than planned. But then, the best changes usually do. Daniel keeps the main house and surrounding 50 acres, sells most outlying properties to the tenants who've worked them, creating owner-operators instead of permanent renters. The Harrington farm goes to the family that's farmed it for 3 generations. Morrison House itself becomes Daniel and Sophia's project. They modernize carefully, preserving historic elements while creating livable space. Sophia's architectural expertise meets Daniel's newfound investment in his own legacy. They convert one wing into a nonprofit workspace for Sophia's affordable housing organization. The barn becomes a workshop where Daniel teaches woodworking to veterans. It's not the Morrison estate that was. It's the Morrison estate that could be. Victoria Ashford learns of the Morrison connection through Baltimore social circuits. She calls Sophia exactly once. You married a Morrison, Victoria says, voice tight. You knew. This was calculated. I married Daniel Hayes, a construction worker living in a trailer. I didn't know about the Morrison estate until weeks after. Sophia's voice is calm. The fact that he has money doesn't change why we married. To escape families like ours that treat children as business assets. I could have helped you. Found you someone appropriate. You tried to auction me to Marcus Whitmore. That's not help, Mother. That's trade negotiation. Victoria is silent for a long moment. Then, are you happy? The question surprises Sophia. Yes. Genuinely, completely happy. With him. Sophia looks across the Morrison House library where Daniel is building bookshelves, his hands steady, his nightmares less frequent, his eyes lighter than when they first met. With him. With myself. With the life we're building. Victoria sighs. I don't understand you, Sophia. I know. But maybe that's okay. They don't reconcile. But the attacks stop. On their 6-month anniversary, Daniel and Sophia stand in the Morrison House kitchen, fully renovated, modern, warm. This is when we were supposed to divorce, Daniel mentions. Technically, yes. Do you want to? Sophia considers this. 6 months ago, she married a stranger to escape her mother. Now she's partnered with a man who understands legacy trauma, who values her expertise, who makes tea when nightmares wake them both. No, she says honestly. I don't want to. Good. Because I'd like to renegotiate our arrangement. Oh, Daniel pulls out a small box. Inside is a ring, not diamonds, but a simple silver band engraved with architectural blueprints of Morrison House. Sophia Morrison, he says formally. Would you consider staying married to me? Not for escape or arrangements, but because we've built something real. Sophia takes the ring, examines the intricate engravings. You had this custom made. You designed it, actually. I found the sketches in your notebook. When did you have time? I've been planning this for 2 months. Sophia, you saved me. From hiding, from running, from destroying something I didn't realize I wanted to preserve. You turned a legacy I hated into a home I love. We did that together, Sophia corrects. Exactly. Together. So what do you say? Sophia slides the ring on her finger. It fits perfectly. I say yes. Again. For real this time. They kiss. Their first real kiss, 6 months after a courthouse wedding neither wanted. It tastes like freedom. Like legacy reclaimed. Like 2 people who married to escape their families and accidentally found each other instead. Outside Morrison House, The Chesapeake gleams under afternoon sun. The estate that almost died from Daniel's avoidance now thrives under their combined vision. They didn't destroy their legacies. They transformed them. And they did it together. The beggar who owned half of Maryland, and the socialite who married him to escape, only to discover freedom isn't about running from responsibility. It's about choosing who you become despite it. 1 year later, Sophia and Daniel host the Morrison estate's first community event, Affordable Housing Design Workshop. The barn is full of architects, contractors, and families seeking better housing solutions. Sophia presents sustainable design principles. Daniel demonstrates construction techniques. Together, they prove legacy can serve rather than constrain. Marcus Whitmore attends with his newest fiancée, a woman 10 years younger, already wearing an expression Sophia recognizes, trapped. Victoria Ashford doesn't come, but she sends a check to Sophia's nonprofit. No note, just money. It's not reconciliation, but it's acknowledgement. That evening, Daniel and Sophia stand on the Morrison house porch, watching the Chesapeake sunset. Do you ever regret it? Daniel asks. Marrying a stranger to escape? Every day, Sophia admits. He looks stricken. Because I wish I'd met you sooner, she finishes. Before we both spent years running from families who should have supported us. Daniel pulls her close. Maybe we needed to run first. To figure out what we were running toward. Which is this. Us. A home we built rather than inherited. A legacy we chose rather than endured. Sophia leans into him. You know what the best part is? What? My mother thinks I married poor. That I'm living in charity, suffering through my choices. She has no idea I married a man who owns half of Maryland. Daniel laughs. Should we tell her? Never. Let her think I'm miserable in a trailer. We don't live in a trailer anymore. She doesn't know that. They watch the sun set over land that's been Morrison property for 6 generations, now being shaped by the 7th in ways none could have predicted. Thank you, Daniel says quietly. For what? For proposing to a stranger in a construction site. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being worth staying for. They stand together, 2 people who married to destroy expectations, only to discover that sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's transformation. And sometimes the person you marry to escape your mother ends up owning half of Maryland, but more importantly, ends up owning your heart.